Okay, section 11.2, dealing with percents. We're going to concentrate on the percent equation, which is percent times of equals is. See how this works here through several examples. All right, what is 150% of $200? Okay, so we're going to use the percent equation. Percent times of equals is. Okay, so the question is, what is each one of these variables? The percent is definitely 150, but we don't write it as 150%. We always change it into a decimal, 1.5. The of $200, 150% of $200. So of 200. And then our is what we're being asked. What is? What is? So we're just going to multiply these two numbers, and 1.5 times 200 is 300. So what is 150% of $200? $300 is 150% of $200. 26 is 40% of what number? Here's the percent equation. Percent times of equals is. 40%, that's obviously our percent. We'll write that as a decimal, 0.4. What's our of? We're being asked of what number? Not off what number, but of what number? So that's our variable. And the is would be 26. 26 is. Divide both sides of this equation by 0.4 and we'll get x, which is 65. 26 is 40% of 65. $48 is what percent of 160? So write our percent equation down. Percent times of equals is. We're being asked the percent, so that's our variable. Of is 160. And 48 is our is. Divide both sides by 160, and we'll get 0.3. We got to write that as a percent, though, so there's one added step here. 0.3 is 30%. So 48 is 30% of 160. Very repetitive. You just got to make sure that you get each one put in the right spot and break the sentence down or question down into parts. You go ahead and try this one, and my answer will be waiting for you. Press pause. And when you press play, my answer will be waiting for you. All right, so here's our percent equation. Percent times of equals is. 0.75 would be our percent of 140 is what number? Multiply, and we get 105. So 105 is 75% of 140. Give this one a try. Here's our percent equation. Percent times of equals is. 0.12 of what number is 9.6. Divide both sides by 0.12, and we'll get 80. So 9.6 is 12% of 80. One more, you try it. Percent times of equals is what percent? So x, that's our variable, of 150 is 240. See how you can kind of rewrite that question in your head. Divide both sides by 150. You get 1.6. You got to change that to a percent, though, so that's 160%. 240 is 160% of 150. So obviously percents are used all the time in the real world. Here's one place. You read in a magazine that an affordable rent is one that is no more than 30% of your salary. The apartment you want rents for $625 per month. At least what must your monthly salary be for you to afford this apartment? Okay, so we can solve this problem using the percent equation. Percent times of equals is. So 30% of what monthly salary is $625. 30% of your monthly salary is $625. This equation, when you divide both sides by 0.3, comes out to $2,083. So if you've got a monthly salary of $2,083, then you should be able to afford an apartment that's $625 per month, according to this magazine. Okay, why don't you try this one? When you press play, my answer will be waiting for you. Obviously, 0.12 is your percent. The question here is 423 the of or is it the is? Here's the way I look at it. 12% is international students. 423 represents international students. So 12% is 423. Both those figures are talking about the same group of students. 12% is international students, 423 is international students. So 12% is 423. Divide both sides by 0.12, and we should get the entire student body, which is 3,525 students at the entire college. The graph shows the results of a poll of students taken to find out the average amount of time spent on various activities in a 24-hour period. If you spent 1.5 hours on homework yesterday, was this percent of time about the same as the poll average? So is 1.5 out of 24 about 7.9%. Well, we can use the percent equation. We're trying to figure out a percent, so that's our variable, of a 24-hour period, 1.5 hours being spent on homework. So that comes out to 6.25% of your day being spent on homework, which is, I guess slightly less than what this poll is showing is being spent on homework. Pretty close. So we're just going to say that 6.25% of a day that you spend on homework is slightly less than the average of 7.9%. It's really pretty close. And why don't you go ahead and try a very similar problem here. So this can be solved using the percent equation as well. Percent times of equals is. We're basically trying to figure out what percent of a 24-hour day is 7.75 hours. I just took the 7 hours and 45 minutes and turned it into a decimal, 7.75, because 45 minutes out of 60 is 0.75 of an hour. Okay, so you divide both sides by 24, and you get about 32.3%. Well, the poll says that an average student spends 31.6% of their time sleeping, and 32.3% is pretty darn close to that. So I'm going to say that 32.3% of the day that you spent sleeping is about the same as the poll's average of 31.6%. Okay, so come into class tomorrow with your completed note sheet, and we'll do some more practice on this tomorrow. I'd highly recommend that you read the section, which starts on page 649. And you might want to even do that before you watch the online lessons from now on. So good luck and have a good evening.